Hey, it's John here, and we are back solving our 4Clojure problems and moving on to problem 21 called the nth element. Okay, so it says write a function which returns the nth element from a sequence. So we are going to write a function, then we're going to get a list 4, 5, 6, 7. It says we're going to take the n equals 2th element, and that will give us 6. Okay, so essentially what we want to do is we want to do rest n times. Alright, so we can probably do this with standard recursion. Let's try it like that. So make a function, we'll call it my nth to avoid any kind of name collision, and it will take in a sequence and an n. Okay. And then what we'll do is we will say that if equals 0 n, so if n equals 0, then we will return the first of the sequence. Otherwise, we will call my nth again with the rest of our sequence, and then we will decrement n. Alright, so let's just kind of walk through it. If we get 4, 5, 6, 7, it comes in with n equals 2, then n is not equal to 0, so we'll jump to this else statement here, and we will take my nth of the rest, which will be 5, 6, 7, and decrement n, so it'll be 5, 6, 7 comes in with n equal to 1, which is not equal to 0, so we jump down to the else part, and that says do that again with the rest, which will now be 6, 7, decrement n, so it'll go to 0. So 6, 7 comes in, n is equal to 0, so we take the first, which is 6. So I think that probably looks good, so I think that's the right solution. Let's test that out. And it says we got an error. So let's see, we have my nth ends here. That's the end of the if, and here's the end of the function. Let's try that again. Green, 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 green. Great, got that one right. Let's move on to the next one. Now try count a sequence. Okay, so a similar thing. We're going to take in a sequence. We need to know how many elements are in there. And so I think the thing to do is we're just going to check to see if our list is empty. Then we're going to return 0. Otherwise, we're going to increment some kind of counter. Okay, so we'll say we're going to use loop recur on this, so we'll have inner one there. So we'll say function my count. Okay, and we're just going to take in a sequence. Okay, and what we will do is we will loop, and we'll have a couple variables. So s will be our sequence, and then we'll have a running total. So we'll have we'll just call it C for count, and we'll call it N and we'll initialize that with 0. Okay, so now we'll start this with if our sequence is empty, then we're going to return n. Otherwise, we will recur back to our loop. We will take we'll just pass in the rest of our sequence, and we will increment our n value. Okay, that takes care of inc, that is recur, that's if, and that is loop, and the last one here is our function. Okay, so once again, the sequence comes in, we initialize our loop. If the sequence is empty, then we return our running total, which we've initialized to 0 for the first one. Otherwise, we recur, taking the rest and incrementing n. So I think that is right. So let's give that a try. Great, we got that one right as well. So let's go on to reversing a sequence. Okay, so we get a sequence in, and we are going to reverse it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so same thing. We can just use recursion here, where we will basically just conj. We're just going to conj onto a list or a vector or whatever. Okay, so we will do function myReverse. It will take in a sequence, and what will we do? Let's do the same thing. We'll say loop, and we will take in the we'll call it R for rest, which will be S, and then we'll do N for our new, which will just be let's make an empty vector. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pass in the rest into this first variable of the sequence, and then we're going to build up with the first. So then when we loop recur, what we're going to do now is that we're going to say if the rest is empty, so if R is empty, then we just return our new list. Otherwise, what we're going to do is we are going to recur, and we will take the rest of R. We'll go in there, and then we need to build up our new list. So we're going to conj, and so conj goes sequence, and then what you're going to add onto. So we're going to conj onto n the first of the rest. Okay, and what that does here, since we are using a vector, whenever we conj, the new value is going to go onto the end of the vector. So we're pulling off the front of the list and adding it to the back of the new list. And let us see if that works. May have the wrong data structure. Let's check that out. So that, let's see, end the conj, end recur, end if, in the loop. you failed the test. And I probably got that backwards, so let's just switch the data structure to a list. Try that again. And it gets it right. Yeah, it sounded wrong when I was saying it, so. Okay, so we got that one right. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, and I should say, the reason why that we're changing from a vector to a list is because when you conj onto a list, your new value goes to the beginning of the next list. So we're basically peeling off the pieces one by one and building a new list, and so the next version is coming before the last. The new value comes then before the last, so that makes sense. Okay, so moving on to sum it all up. We want to write a function which returns the sum of a sequence of numbers. Okay, so there's sort of different ways to do this. We could sort of recursively go through it. This says easy sequences, so obviously we could write some recursive function that just kind of goes through the list and makes it smaller and smaller and keeps an accumulator and then returns at the end. Or we can do reduce with plus or apply. So let's just run reduce. Okay, so I'll make it nice and short. All we're going to do is make a function that does reduce, and it reduces on plus, and we'll run that on the collection that's passed in. So all that's going to do is it's basically going to do all the recursion for us and just one by one add all these up. Since we have plus here, then it's going to start the accumulator essentially at 0. If we did multiply, it would start at 1, and that will handle it for us. Okay, we got that right. So let's go on and let's do one more for this video. Now find the odd numbers. Okay, so what we want to do is only let the odd numbers through. So another, we could write this recursively and say we're going to step through this list and then basically only conj the odd values into our new list and then return that at the end. But we'll do just a simple Clojure way. So anonymous function filter. Our predicate is the odd function, and we pass in that parameter here. So the sequence is going to go into this %. We're going to run the filter function on that sequence with the predicate is odd. Alright, so that is the first, it's 20 through 25, and I think that's a good stopping point for this video, so thanks for watching.